welcome back to Community with Closers. Super excited for tonight's show. We got a special guest for you. If you guys did not see, Wealthy Winner was a huge success today. A lot of people were on there, and we have the man, the myth, the legend, Jonathan Maynard. So I'm going to welcome him onto the show. What is
Hey,
up, Jonathan?
what's going on, man? And good to see you.
Yes, sir. I know it feels like it's been a minute and you've been all over just conquering some mountains, dude. It's been awesome.
Yeah, just trying to just pour into people and just continue to build things.
I love it, dude. Well, you are doing it. That's all I got to say. Because everybody I talk to is like, yeah, Jonathan has really helped me out in one way or another. And I just see you doing phenomenal things, dude. So, mad props to you. And thanks for being on the show tonight. Super excited because, we've been launching the Community with Closers and just having people on like yourself that has been dropping some nuggets. So, I don't want to, we got 30 minutes to crush it. That's what I tell everybody, right? Quick 30 minutes. So I'm going to give you the stage, man. I want to hear, everything that's going on. And then obviously, a recap on Wealthy Winner.
Yeah. So, man, there's so much going on, especially right now, just in business life. We was crazy with our power washing and lighting company. Has been just doing phenomenal this year. I was kind of expecting 23 to be kind of a down year because just like 2020 and 2021 and 2022 just kind of was just like doing some really cool things. And then just watching the growth in 23 has been super cool. We probably grew like 30%, which is when you're under a million, those kind of like big double digit percentage growths has been it's pretty, it's great, but it's easier to accomplish it is at a smaller size. But when after you cross that like million, it's harder to get those kind of double digits because there's just so much crud that goes into it. And the team really just pulled a rabbit out of the hat this year. It's funny because we look at it and, top lines for vanity, bottom lines for sanity. Our bottom line suffered just because we spent so much in marketing this year, but really we just wanted to capture that growth phase and took home less money, but really top line grew. But if you look at it lifetime value, those customers that we acquired this year, we essentially buy those customers and they're going to be there for every year for the next several seasons, which is super good. So we're going to dial back the marketing a little bit going into 24 and hope to continue to crush it. Middle of the year, I bought a fire and flood restoration company up in Seattle, Washington, which was crazy. Just an acquisition. Owner was retiring and he had grown. He started the company, went from zero to about like $6-7 million a year.
Nice.
And so we myself and a partner bought 50% each of the company and then sold back 10% to the previous owner so he could get a second bite of the apple as we kind of grew it. And
Love that.
that has been man, it is different. So an exterior cleaning company is a completely different animal than that one. And then dealing with the things you got to deal with with a like $8 million company is it's a learning curve. And it's like one of those like, what did I get into? And it's almost like starting a business again, where it's like you have those nights where it's like, what have I done? And
Yeah.
and it's that anxiety and just like trying to just figure it out. And it's been definitely a growing year for me, just learning some
Mhm.
of the tools on the personal development side. That's been
Yeah.
super good, just making sure I can stay, in check in there. I'm not a coach, but I do, mentor some people and do provide consulting for some business owners. And I had a guy reach out to me, last week, and he was like, "Man, how do you deal with the anxiety of this?" And I was like, that's one thing that I never got taught. And probably
Mhm.
because I wasn't bold enough to ask the question. I was just one of those like white knuckle and just deal with it, kind of like your typical like just kind of dad stuff maybe. It's like,
Yep.
well, I'm going through it, I might as well deal with it. And was like embarrassed to ask people, like, because if you watch the YouTube gurus and the Facebook gurus and things like that, they, it's like they're taking pictures in front of their jet, or and like nothing bothers these guys. And so I was always like super afraid to ask these questions, and I never did. I was like, I got to figure this out. So,
Yeah.
started on that kind of path of self-discovery, last, like 2022, 2023. And then I have a guy that, I like coach, and he's like, how do you deal with anxiety? I was like, dude, first of all, that's so awesome that you asked that, because I didn't have the guts to ask that, to any coach that I had.
Yeah.
And just walked through the, hey, here's what I do. I'm not sure if it's going to work for you or not. It worked for me really well, and this is kind of what I found. So yeah, just been dealing with kind of all that just stuff in the business, the business world, and it's
I
been
love
wild.
it. Well, yeah, it's all about getting uncomfortable though, doing things you've never done before, because it's like as you go through business, I think our level, so like me and my wife were talking about this the other day, is like our level of stress and all that stuff, right? Like we take on way more stress, I feel like, than most people, and we build up a tolerance, right? So you get to this certain threshold where you're just like, how is that not bothering you? You're like, well, that's every day for us, right? Like we're going hell and high water. And
Yeah.
so, like you're saying, that's a whole nother level, 7 million, $10 million business. You got to be prepared for something like that, jumping into that.
Yeah, we got a project that we're wrapping up now, but it was like a $1.2 million project, and which is crazy. Like a project is more than we did in revenue for the power washing company in like 2020. So it's like,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? Like you've got like all these people and stuff like that, and I really found out, like it's the cash flow and stuff like that, because you've got this project. It's kind of, they're giving you some like milestone payments, but you've got all this like front loaded money you got to pour
Yeah.
out into it. And it's kind of like whenever you have big projects like multifamily and stuff like that, where you've got these projects that just carry on for weeks, and
Yeah.
you're having to pay your guys,
Yep.
and you haven't invoiced the first invoice yet. You might,
That's
if you're
right.
lucky, you may have gotten a deposit, but most of the time it's no, there's no deposit. It's you get paid
Yeah.
when the work is done. And so you're just having to kind of deal with that. And it's like, how do I have the right lines of credit? Do I have the right relationships with bankers? And so when you start getting into that sort of stuff, it's wild. And then, if when you first start your business, you deal with like having to learn how to like coach and mentor like hourly employees. And luckily, just my previous life, I had to manage managers, and I think that's probably the hardest like nut to crack, is how do you manage people, especially if you make these key hires. How do you manage these people that are used to operating at this level right here, and you're used to mentoring and coaching hourly employees? It's a totally different like mindset on how to mentor and coach these people up.
Yeah. No, that's incredible, man. I can't imagine that, because it's like you're never a manager before, right? And then you learn those skills, and you got to level you up before your business changes. Like I say that so often because it's so true, and you're definitely doing it. I mean, you're in the right circle of people, right? You're leveling up all aspects, and I think that's for the viewers watching today, is like that's what you need to do. You got to be constantly listening to podcasts, right? And not just listening, but like meeting those people, being in the same rooms with those people, like Wealthy Winner, right?
Hmm.
Getting the information from those people that are doing it or have done it, and then leveling your game up. So I love that, man. Super cool.
Yeah, and Wealthy Winter was, it's a brainchild of the collective, and we put it on every year because as people go into the winter, there's so many like super good people like Sam Gamble and Brennan Williams and people like that show you kind of the tips and tricks of, this is what I did, not just theory. There's nothing worse than somebody going, well, you should do this, but they never did it.
Yeah.
And so these are people that like, I tried this, almost starved, almost died, but this is what I learned, and this is what I implemented, and it saved my business. Or like John Carmazin, he's like, look, we shut down during the winter for these months, and this is the plan, but it's not like you can just shut down and just kind of hope for the best in the spring. It He has an actual strategic plan that he outlined in Wealthy Winter, and it was like, this is how I do it. And it
It's
just,
amazing.
and I learned so much. I was watching it today and I was like, man, I learned so much. And if you're not constantly learning, or if you think you kind of have it all figured out, that was probably my biggest thing. And was, a few years into the business going, okay, I got it figured out. And I don't need to I don't need a coach. And
Yeah.
then really got reminded, no, you need a coach. Even elite athletes still have a coach that
Right.
pushes them day on, you know.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like literally, we are entrepreneur athletes. Like, if you think about it, right? Like, we got to take care of our body, right? Because we're leading people. You have to have people pouring into your cup because you're pouring out. And at the end of the day, like, you're beat up and you need somebody that's like, hey, man, no, you're doing the thing, keep going. Like, it's incredible what we're going through. And so I think with Wealthy Winner too is like, there's things that we did 5, 10 years ago that we're not doing now, and we forget about those things. And like, when Brendan Williams or somebody else is going through those things and they, you know what I mean, and they really hit rock bottom, you're like, shoot, we stopped doing that a couple years ago. We really need to get back to basics and do
Hmm.
those things. We just launched our 11th location up in Connecticut,
Oh
and
wow.
with two months into it, we're at 35,000 a month.
Oh
And
wow.
those are the things, the systems, right? Like, and we couldn't have done that obviously 5, 10 years earlier because we didn't have the knowledge, right? We didn't have the systems in place to be able to build the team. And so, like, what you're saying is just phenomenal. For the viewers listening, if you're on YouTube, Spotify, or Facebook, like, go check out Wealthy Winner for sure, because you can buy the recordings, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So you can do a VIP. It's $99, and you
Yep.
literally get tens of thousands of dollars worth of actionable stuff that you could do. And that $99 just basically covers, the cost of doing, kind of hosting the videos, and we have admin staff that we pay that helps you. So if you have a password issue or whatever, you can get help to help you through it. But it's $99 and you get lifetime access to those videos.
No brainer.
Jared Skinner, I interviewed him and
Mhm.
he talks about door knocking. And that's one of the things I think that's a big fear. Like I
Yeah.
I the thought, if somebody held a gun to my head and said, you've got to go knock on doors to make money, I would still be like, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe you need to pull that trigger because it is, it is, it is definitely a fear. But he really talks about, hey, here's some ways that you can do it that makes
Mhm.
sense, and it makes it completely non-confrontational, and you're there
Yeah.
to actually serve the customer. And yeah, you're going to get doors slammed on your face,
Yeah.
as you're door knocking. But if you are, just starting your business, or you don't have any more money to put into marketing, you can go knock on doors and it's not going to cost you hardly any money.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to close one or two sales a day if you don't give up, And he even talks about like building teams to go door knocking and how you celebrate the wins and things like that. But if it's just you and you're in it, and you got a power washing truck, you just take that truck door to door until you sell something, you know
Yeah.
is
I
what it
mean,
is.
that's it. Like, and I think this year's kind of, you know, been true for that, is like, if you don't have work next week, what can you do this weekend, tomorrow, right, to get work and book up next week? Because that's the reality of it. It's like, guys are like, dude, I got 2, 3 jobs next week, whether you're in exterior cleaning or, lawn care or tree, maintenance, whatever it is. Like, these are things, principles that you can actually execute on tomorrow, this weekend, and have work. Like, the
Mhm.
results, I mean, proof's in the pudding. Like, they're going to call, you're going to knock on the door, you're going to get a lead, they're going to need an estimate, right?
Yep.
So what would I would say, like, what were some of your key takeaways on Wealthy Winner?
Well, the few were, Brennan Williams talks about dry event cleaning,
Mm,
and he gives some really good stuff on how to take care of that. Like January is National Fire Prevention Month, and it's the one month when like most houses catch on fire. It's just weird. It's a statistic, and you can use that kind of marketing to go and clean dryer vents. We do dryer vent cleaning, and for us, it's a break even kind of product for us, it's enough that we can cover our overhead and we keep our guys busy, because we
Mhm.
know March 1st we're going to have to start washing again. So
Yep.
if that, January we're taking down lights, and then if we can split the crew, we can do gutter cleaning and dryer vent cleaning just enough to cover our costs. That's what we do. So Brendan Williams really talks about that. um the you know uh Ryan Kettering talks about marketing and branding, and
Mhm.
really that's kind of the big thing. So how can you use your brand, because your brand isn't just your logo, and he talks about kind of the psychology behind that branding and making sure that everything's on point. Now
Yep.
when you're first starting, things are all over the place, and it's a little wild, but
Yeah.
once you start establishing yourself, if you can brand those certain things, your Facebook posts and whatnot, even your branding that you have here on this podcast is so when you see this format, you go, oh well, that's what that is. This is community for closers. So
Yeah.
if they can see that brand, and it's kind of like Amazon. The Amazon trucks now, if you notice, they're just blue and they just have the arrow, but
Yeah.
everybody knows what that is.
Yep.
So if you can do that within your community, and you're going to do that within a neighborhood, and then you start branching out and this is the mistake that I made, was like, I'm trying to service the entire 500 zip codes. You really need to just dominate a few neighborhoods, and
Yeah.
then they start seeing your truck in there a lot, and then they think that guy must have like 10 trucks, and you got one truck, but you're
Yep.
in there so much because you're really dominating that neighborhood, and your brand is so prolific, no pun intended, that you seem like you're everywhere because that brand is so recognizable.
I like how he said too. He also took it inside his organization. It was like his team, his culture was like, if they have a brand that your team will stand behind, that they will wear proudly outside of the establishment, right? Like goes farther with their family, friends, and they're backing something that they truly believe in with the brand, which is your story ultimately, right?
Mhm.
Why
Yeah.
you are here.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
So good.
Awesome.
So
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so with that being said, on branding, I know we had the gentleman down in Atlanta, right? Crushing it down there.
Gosh, Wesley is killing it. He's,
Yeah, he is.
I joke, I always say, he's like 20 years old. He was like 20 years old when I first met him. He's much older
Exactly.
now, but
Yep.
he's building a machine down there. First of all, he's in a terrific market. Second of all, his
Yeah.
his his branding is on point. His team, he's there just cheering his team on, and doing some really cool things. But one of the things you don't want to see, like, somebody like that and just go, well, he's got 30 trucks and I got one truck, and you start feeling like this pity for yourself, or like, I can't do it, or whatnot. um that's just a mindset thing, and you really have to overcome that. And that's one of the things, 22, 23, I worked on with my coach, um, is overcoming, well, the self-limiting beliefs. And I think we've all heard, like, people talk about it. Latimer was really big, years ago, when he was in, doing his Quick Talk podcast and stuff, and talking about those self-limiting beliefs. And I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, I kind of understand what that is, but I didn't really get into it until I started just really thinking about how that's affecting my business, how it's affecting my relationship with my employees, with my spouse,
Yeah.
you know and really kind of how that manifests in my life, and how to overcome those beliefs that I'm not good enough, or I'll never have that, or that person has something that I don't have, and
Yeah.
trying to seek happiness even in these external things. Like, I was, when I met you years ago in, I think it was Charlotte, North Carolina. you know
Mhm.
I think I did like 150 grand that year in power washing, and I just didn't see the future,
Yeah.
and really, and I thought, you know I was less of a person, because I see these people out here that are doing so, these awesome things, and I really just felt this, like, I want that. I'll be happy when I get that $1 million business. you
Mhm.
know? And if you're always searching for that external goal, then
Yeah, it's not
you're
gonna
not going to be happy. Because and now that I'm on the other side of this, I understand the statement, but it was like everything you need to be happy is right here within yourself. And
Amen.
and I thought that was garbage because I thought of myself so poorly
Mm,
that it was like, how could that be? How is everything all the happiness I could ever have is within me when I'm, a garbage person, or I have these self-limiting beliefs, and I believe these things about myself. And it was kind of breaking out of that really helped me realize that no, happiness is within myself. And whether I have a $100,000 business or a $100 million business, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
What matters is, am I striving for and being true to myself about my why, and why I'm
yes.
doing the things.
I love that, man. And for me, I don't know if this is true for you, but like my why changed, right? Like
Mm,
when you go through and you're going through these stages in business, my why definitely changed because I didn't even know. I don't even think I really truly knew, like you're saying, like what my why was in the beginning. And then my coach kind of like brought it out, right? And as you hit those goals, you're 100% right. It's like, dang, I'm here, but I'm still not happy, right? It's not. You got to realize it's in you. And, obviously people know my story, right? But like, we are worth it. And you are a closer, right? You're on the
yeah,
call right now. So you are a closer. And if you do have one truck or you're listening, you're like, yeah, I don't want to do 10 trucks or whatever. It's That's
that's
fine.
fine. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get you super profitable one with two, but let's help you get there, right? Or whatever it needs to be. But you don't have
Mhm.
to be like Wesley. You don't have to be, like Brandon Vaughn, right? But you can be. That's the reality though.
Yeah.
If don't say no just because you don't ever think or see yourself there, you definitely can get there.
Yeah. Yeah, and a good coach is gonna help pull that out of you. And, I didn't know my why either. My
Mhm.
why, I was like, I just don't wanna have a job. I'm tired of listening to somebody tell me what I wanna do. But then you try to be, like, altruistic, and you wanna sound good, on a podcast, or you wanna sound good when you're talking to people. Go, "Oh, no, my why is my family," and blah, blah. And it's like, to an extent, yeah, it may be, but
Mhm.
really, if you haven't defined that yet and really dug in and figured out, what is your why for today, which honestly, like you said, could change, or you think you know what it is. You think, oh, well, I love my family, and so I'm doing this for them. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're doing it for, y- for whatever reason. It could be
Yeah.
that, your third grade teacher told you you're never going to amount to anything. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to show that person. Maybe
Yep.
that's your why right now. And it's not the right why,
Mhm.
because there's probably something deeper. But if you don't have a coach to help pull that out, it's going to be difficult to figure it out.
It really is. I agree. I agree with that. Love it, man. I mean, so that's huge. So, I mean, it sounds like you need to get a coach. Like, if you don't have a coach, you got to get somebody, a mentor that's in your corner, pushing you, helping you, pulling that stuff out, right? Asking the right questions.
Mhm.
And, there's a lot out there that resources you can go to. But really, because we have a couple minutes left, what's one thing, Jonathan, that you can kind of leave with everybody here today? Obviously, go to Wealthy Winter, right? They're going to sign up $99, get all the knowledge you need over the winter time that you can start executing on and implementing. So next year you can hit the ground running in March. But what's one thing that you would leave with the audience today?
Man, it's this. Um, get yourself healthy. Like, get yourself, and now I'm not talking about just like physically healthy. I'm talking about 360 healthy. Healthy in your relationships, healthy in your actual physical health, healthy in your spirituality, whatever that is. And once you kind of get those things locked in, then your business changes. You know, a few years ago, I was just struggling, and I think I came to the realization I wasn't happy.
Mm,
So I went on this journey of, trying to figure out what that is. And it's because I was eating garbage. I was overweight. So my health was suffering. I didn't know how to communicate with my wife. We've been married now 26 years, and it's amazing that you think you got it figured out, and then it's like, no, this could be like so much deeper. And then,
Yeah.
spiritually, whatever that is for you, just making sure that you're like connected that way, and finding that community of people. And I think that's the biggest thing, because once you get that figured out, man, business is so much easier. Because
Yeah.
your life is so much easier because you're not in chaos. And so, I do that. I keep a journal. I still have it. It's basically it's a gratitude journal,
Nice.
and I always thought that was just the weirdest thing, like just being grateful for things. But that really changed my perspective. And I wasn't a journaler. I was one of those people that I had like 18 journals that had like the first 2 pages filled out, because I'd try to start it and then but I found this one, and I say I found it. My coach sent it to me, and really just changed the way that I think about gratitude. So really, it's working with yourself and
Hmm.
getting that sorted, and then business just becomes easier because you are completely like fulfilled within yourself, and everything else seems to follow suit.
I love that. Love that so much. You're energized. Like,
Yeah.
what is going to come at me? You know what I mean? Because everything's hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Love it, Jonathan. Love it. Dude, we got to have you back on, of course. Um, Probably in the next couple months, we'll have you back on, but I really appreciate you. Where does everybody go? Wealthywinner.com.
Yeah, just wealthywinner.com. Go there, just sign up. If you were a VIP last year, it's only $49. This year it's 99 if it's your first time signing up. And that way you can get the recordings, because Wealthy Winner, we just wrapped it up. We just finished the happy hour about an hour ago. And so it's all done. So you can
Nice.
only get the recordings at this point. So like I said, it's so much worth it. Just $99, and you get like 8 straight hours of just people just dropping bombs. And it's not just us, partners in the collective. These are people that are doing amazing things. Sam Gimbel, that just has like a billion people that work for him,
Yeah,
and he's built that company, to something quite amazing. And it's just people like that that are just sharing with you, and it's invaluable.
that's right. I agree. All right, guys, put it down. We got to Goya, right? And get that. Get it signed up. Get the recordings. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks everybody watching, and we will see you guys next Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here, Community with Closers.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, man.